Well, welcome to the BNI Effect. I'm Tony Meredith, and ordinarily I'm a business coach, but today I'm your host and fellow BNI member, bringing you insightful interviews and actionable tips to help you elevate your networking game and ultimately grow a phenomenal business. And today is episode number 17, and our special guest today is Lynda James. Lynda, hello, how are you?
Very well. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you. Well, thank you for being here. Lynda, if you could just start off by giving us a brief overview about yourself and your business and the services that you provide.
Certainly. So I've been in sales most of my life in the cosmetic and pharmaceutical industry. And just in the last 3.5 years, I've come across into the radio industry. So quite a different change for me, a totally different sales perspective. And what I do in my sales role is I'm responsible for getting new businesses on board and introducing them to our audience of over 350,000 people, to the largest community radio station in Queensland. So I do everything from conception to completion, and often even involved in putting the scripting together and recordings and that sort of stuff. So it's my job to support people throughout their journey to make sure that they get the return on investment that they're looking for through lead generation and brand awareness.
Fantastic. So what you're doing is looking for businesses to come on board, advertise on 96.5. That's the radio station. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Advertise on the radio station, and then, like you said, then generate more awareness, more sales for their business.
Totally, yes.
Fantastic. So you've been doing that for 3.5 years. So how long have you been at BNI for?
Well, I just had my 7-month review, so quite new.
Mm-hmm. And what prompted you to join BNI?
Well, look, I was invited by a client of mine who'd been attending, and they'd been having great success on the radio with me, and they wanted to introduce me to some other potential businesses. So I went along to a couple of those meetings. Unfortunately, the seat that I hold was already taken. So I had a look at a couple of other BNI places, and then a friend of mine, Paul Halford, you may know, I've known him quite some time, through very big networker in Brisbane. So he was opening a new chapter at Moreton Bay. So he invited me to come along to that, and I really enjoyed it. The seat was available, and here I am 7 months later, going well.
Which is amazing. And so when you talk about the seat being available, so let's just talk about that for people who don't fully understand what that means. So firstly, what is the seat that you hold, and what does that actually mean?
Sure. So I hold the not-for-profit seat. So each chapter has a limit on the amount of businesses that can hold a particular seat, which is great because it means that you're not in a room with 10 of your competitors. So there's some flexibility around those seats. So there might be a particular niche that somebody has in a similar sort of business. But for me, even though we're a radio station, it seems weird that I'd be a not-for-profit, but as a community radio station, all community radio stations are funded by the community and by those people who promote on air with us.
Excellent. Okay. Now, you've been with BNI for 7 months. You just said you had your 7-month review. So how has the first 7 months been for you?
Look, I've really enjoyed it. Initially, my reservations probably were around just that commitment of the KPIs and being there each week. But I soon learned that that's a great structure. I do like structure, and it's a great, process to get the results that you're looking for. So I'm finding that working very well to my favor. Just that regular commitment every week. I know what I'm doing, when I'm going to be there, what's expected of me, and I'm constantly looking at different ways to kind of promote the same thing is always a lovely challenge as well.
How were you able to overcome your initial reservations around that weekly commitment? Because I speak to a lot of people, whether they be in a prospective setting, and for them, it's that weekly commitment that sometimes becomes the hurdle, the obstacle. So how were you able to overcome that, Lynda?
Look, I've done a lot of networking, and I was finding I was going to a lot of networking events weekly. Sometimes I'd be going to 3 or 4 different events on a weekly basis. And after a while, it gets quite exhausting. So it's about kind of rethinking your thought pattern. Well, why am I networking? Why am I out here? What do I want to gain? And what's the best going to be the best result for my business. So for me, it was just changing that thinking, because often you're going to these networking events and you're seeing many of the same people at these events anyway. So why not hone it down to the one day a week that you can commit to, and have that plan, have that strategy, rather than just sort of bouncing around from one thing to another. So to be able to plan it out as well. So if you've got holidays coming up and that type of thing, being able to organise somebody else to fill your seat. But also after the initial couple of months, I found that going to other chapters was actually really helpful as well. So to have that flexibility to also go to other chapters in addition to my weekly chapter meeting is very beneficial.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's a good point that you make, because a lot of people will go to a whole range of other networking events. And like you said, you go in and you might see the same people, but also, you might see different people whenever you go. And for me, the true success of networking is building those know, like, and trust relationships. And the reality, Lynda, as you well know, is that it takes time, and so to go to a networking event and seeing someone once, then bouncing on to a different networking event, you're not really building those relationships. Yes, you might be collecting a lot of business cards, but there's a difference between collecting business cards and building relationships. So it sounds to me that your decision to join BNI was all about building those, deep, intimate, know, like, and trust relationships.
Absolutely, because even though you'd see the same people at many of the events, didn't necessarily mean that you had the time to find out about their business and that sort of thing. Where each week you're going, you're finding out more and more about people's business, you're building that connection with them, and they're going to be top of mind when you're looking or you're speaking to somebody that may need their type of business.
And how did BNI help you improve your networking skills?
Look, I think the education is been very good. I mean, I've had the privilege of having a lot of education in the pharmaceutical industry over a long period of time. However, there's always something to learn, and just having those CUEs that you can refer to find out different ways of how things could be done better or differently. I think it's been quite valuable, and it's helped me. I went to one chapter, and even though I'm on the sort of visitors team at the moment, they sort of said everybody's a visitor, on the visitors team, everybody in the chapter. And when you think about it, they'll say, yeah, well, that's what we're learning. We're learning when we go to a network event, you treat it as if it's your network event, and you're connecting the dots and putting people together. And I think it really helps. It certainly has helped me with my confidence level, rather than try and be that shrinking violet in the corner, to actually get up, step up, and be more active.
It's amazing. It's one of the great things I love about BNI is that there is so much education. So like you touched on, there's weekly education. You've also got to get up there and speak a couple of times every week, and it's helped build your confidence. There's a whole lot of online resources. There's different events that BNI is constantly holding. So, to me, if you really want to get more education, there is so much opportunity available once you're a BNI member.
Absolutely. And it's just about getting your head in the game and realizing this is actually valuable. It's not just, they're not doing it just for the sake of it. It's actually helping me as a person and helping my business.
And did you realize that early on, that whole sort of getting your head in the game? Like when you first started 7 months ago, did you realize that from day one, or was that something that along your journey went, hang on a second, this is so much more valuable than what I originally thought it was going to be?
I'd have to admit there was a certain amount of that because of the experience I've had in the past. So once I it didn't take too long. It was a matter of weeks, really, when I started to see up on the board with the go for green and all that. And I went, hold on, how do I get there? I want to be in the green. So the competitiveness comes out, and it's actually an easy process to follow. And there's so much information out there. You just pick and choose what is appropriate to you.
Excellent. How do you measure success of your participation in BNI?
Sure. So obviously there's the financial element, because as a not-for-profit, we're supported by the community and those who promote on air with us. So I'm accountable for my time and to my management team. So that obviously is an important thing. What's more important to me is that those people that I connect with, those referrals that I get, that when they do decide to do something with me or talk to me at least and have a conversation about, radio, because it might be something that they've never even considered before, to really nurture that person, nurture that referral. And I do absolutely everything I can to make sure that my clients, no matter where they come from really, that they get the return on investment that they're looking for, that, I don't overpromise and under-deliver. I like to make sure that they are well looked after, they get the result that they're looking for, and do everything I need to do for them to get that result.
And has your business evolved, or how has your business evolved since joining BNI?
Well, it's a hard one to put a particular pin in for BNI as such, because of the nature of our business. I mean, we just got our survey results through yesterday, and we've gone from 336,000 listeners to over 350,000 listeners. Now,
Congratulations.
thank you. I'd love to credit BNI with that increase. However, it's more so about getting that awareness, because I don't think a single person at BNI when I first started had even heard of 96.5 before. And considering we're ranked number 7 in the top 30 radio stations in Queensland, it's quite interesting that people weren't familiar. So just to be able to introduce new people to us as a company and be able to tell them about the great things that we do in the community that they may not be aware of, I'm really enjoying that aspect of it.
Fantastic. And I would think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lynda, but a lot of businesses, particularly small businesses, would tend to gravitate more towards, say, the social media as a way of advertising. But what you're saying is you now have an affordable opportunity that small businesses really do need to consider as an alternative to sort of the digital marketing.
Absolutely. And look, radio works hand in hand with digital marketing. It really does. It's because people, they hear you and they see you. They start to build up that, familiarity. And it's that build, that trust and like kind of thing. They get to know you, they get to trust you, they like you, and they might start considering you. And radio, certainly community radio, can be a lot less expensive than many people think, and can be a really great introduction to a whole new audience.
What advice would you give to new BNI members to make the most out of their membership?
I would encourage them to get in the green as soon as they can, because the quicker they get there, it's easier to stay there once they're actually there. And I would encourage them to really think about and work on their pitch when they're, what is it that they're going to say? Think about in advance, the day before, what is it that I'm going to say, and what do I need to get from that? And really just work on that, what we would call an elevator pitch, so that you perfect that quite easily. And it doesn't matter if you're reading it off your tablet or off a piece of paper, because you'll start to get that consistent message across, and that you're branding yourself in BNI. That's what you're doing. And I think that sort of thing works very well.
That's phenomenal advice, Lynda. What's next for your business? Have you got any exciting projects or opportunities coming up?
Well, we're very excited, because even though we've been around for 50 years, for the first time ever, we've bought a building. We have our very own building and no longer renting. So in our last space, we were supposed to be there for 6 months, and that was 14 and a half years ago. So great excitement for us. We're literally in the process of moving to Taringa as we speak. So that will just open up so many more opportunities for us to do the great things that we do in the community, have a more polished environment where we'll be able to work on things like our podcasts and recordings and news reading and all of that sort of stuff. So that is very exciting from us. But we also are always involved with supporting other local charities. So things like the Samaritan's Purse, and we've got coming up very soon, even though we don't want to think about Christmas, we will have the Christmas Child Appeal, which is a shoebox appeal coming up. So that'll be a great one to be involved with. And we love seeing the community get together and support events and charities like that.
And how do you see your relationship with BNI evolving as your business grows?
Well, I at the moment, as I mentioned, I'm in the visitors space and I'm really enjoying that. And I think there's so many opportunities. There's every 6 months being able to perhaps look at the opportunity to go into a more of a leadership role is exciting. I mean, it's challenging, but it's exciting, and it's all part of your growth. So I'm looking forward to, as that sort of kicks on in the next month or so, what opportunities may lie there for me.
And so for those who are listening who aren't familiar with what you're talking about, so what does the whole leadership team or leadership role mean, Lynda?
Yeah, so obviously, like any business, somebody's got to run the show. So there's going to be different positions in the team to be able to make sure that runs successfully. So you're going to have somebody who's making sure the financial side of it is ticking along, and then you've got, the chairman and all of the other positions.
Yep.
Yeah, positions are available for, even from webmaster and that sort of thing. Education. So every week you've got a 10-minute presentation by our educator, and that gives really helpful insight to grow and support your business as well. So lots of different opportunities there.
And if you could share one piece of wisdom with our listeners, what would that be?
I would say that your elevator pitch, whether you're in BNI or not, is crucial. So just think about you're in an elevator with an unknown person, from going from one level to the next. You've got about 30 to 60 seconds to talk about who you are and what you do. And perfecting that for every business is really, really important. So inside or outside BNI, I'd really encourage people to work on that. What is it that you do? What's the problem you solve? And how they can get in contact with you.
Excellent advice. How can listeners learn more about you and your business, Lynda? You mentioned that you've got the new office at Taringa, which you're about to move into, but other than that, how else can we learn more about you?
Sure. Well, you can go to our website, 965.com, and have a look at all the great things that we do. You can contact me directly through LinkedIn or other social media outlets.
Outstanding. Well, thanks, Lynda. Well, look, that wraps up another episode of the BNI Effect. We hope that you enjoyed today's discussion. I want to extend a massive thank you to Lynda James for sharing with us her wisdom, her insights about her business, and also with BNI. If you found this episode valuable, we would love for you to leave us a review. And until next time, keep networking, keep growing, and remember, your success is our priority here at the BNI Effect.